What do we have, a Taurus? Strength, Leo energy at the foundation of the reading in reverse. Taurus, leading up to this reading, a lot of things have happened. I've been trying to do this reading for about the past 4 days, and there's just been this overwhelming sense of self-doubt. It's like this energy of hesitating on taking some sort of action when the answer is directly in front of you. And one of the downloads that I got, which aligns perfectly with the strength card in reverse here, is that you asked for something and the universe answered. It could have come in the form of a download, an idea. It could have been literally material. But whatever it is that you've asked for and has made its way into your life, it's almost as if you don't notice it. It's like it went under the radar, so to speak. And here you are wondering where your prayer has gone or where your help has gone. And sure enough, we get this strength in reverse, which is all about you suppressing something. Well, again, this energy of self-doubt. There's also this energy here where I feel like you're slipping into some sort of energy of weakness when your strength is in the palm of your hands. Now, there's been this massive shift inside the collective the past few days. I'm sure a lot of you have felt it, but this one's different. Usually when we have these shifts, it almost feels like things are getting better. But this shift was almost like we took a few steps backwards, right? And I had to really think about what was taking place here. And what I've concluded is that this is that dip that we feel right before we hit the next level in the game. It's almost like things start to feel a little worse before they get a little better. But the way this has been showing up, Taurus, in our waking life, in our reality, is in the form of exposure. It's like we're all looking around at the world and it feels like we're in bizarro land. It's like everybody is losing their minds. Now, what I feel that this is a kind of exposure, right? We're seeing the truth. The veil is being ripped back. We're really starting to see things for what they really are. And the devil, the darkness, is testing us to see how much of it we'll put up with. We very much live in a time right now where the restriction, the resistance has become so overwhelming that people have just kind of given up in a sense, right? Almost like, what's the point of even fighting because I can't make a difference? Now, it's very easy to see how this is taking place on a world stage, but it trickles down into each one of our own lives. So an as above, so below kind of energy that I'm picking up here, Taurus. And the reason why this is taking place is because the answer has arrived, is because what you've been praying for is actually here. Now, that might be hard to wrap your head around, but when you start to think about the distraction that we're being bombarded with all around us, it makes sense. We're being distracted from stepping into our power. And I say our, Taurus, because even though this is your reading here, this is something that each and every one of us are feeling right now. All of us are being faced with things that we need to sacrifice, things that do not serve our highest good right now. This is the season where we lay down all of our burdens so we can step through the portal onto the new timeline. And this is exactly why I was feeling this dip in energy, right? The fall before the rise. What do we have, the sacral? Ah, perfect. The moon. Pisces energy at the sacral. Taurus, there's things that you are being called to eradicate from your life right now. They could be small, they could be big, they could be people, they could be behavioral patterns, but there's something here that I feel has been hidden. It's almost as if you're wondering why you're not having a breakthrough. You're wondering why this prayer that you've sent up isn't showing up, right? Although it has. It's almost as if there's something that's hanging around you that is distorting your perception, distorting the way you're perceiving your reality right now. And that energy is coming out right at this sacral. Now, your sacral is all connected to lusty kind of energies, okay? So for some of you, this could be a toxic connection that you have in your life, or it could just be something else you're engaged in that is throwing your emotions out of balance. Now, there's obviously a million ways that can show up, so place it as it fits, but there's something here that is trying to take your attention away from the mission at hand here, Taurus. You know, this density, this reality that we live in, it's overwhelming. It's heavy. It takes a tremendous amount of work to keep yourself balanced and in alignment with your highest good because of how veiled the distractions are. It's very difficult to see the true intentions of things we engage in when we first come in contact with it. But we very much live in a world where very little supports us and our divine mission here. So you have to remember, Taurus, this density we're in, we're essentially behind enemy lines. We live in a world where they want you to decide between one or the other. You ever notice that? We have to make a choice at all times. Everything we do is a choice. We live in a reality that is based on duality. That's just the way it is. That's what the three-dimensional density is. Yin and yang, positive and negative. There's two polarities at play at all times. We can't change that, but we do not have to subscribe to it. Now, this can obviously be very challenging for the world we live in, but there is a way to navigate these energies and still live in alignment with your highest good as a means to fulfill your mission and destiny here. In other words, Taurus, as long as we're in the knowing and we don't allow any of these forces to overcome or overtake us, then we should be able to fulfill our mission while we're down here. As long as we stay aware, as long as we stay awake at all times. That is seemingly the key here. This moon is very much an energy that's speaking about the unseen. There's an energy that is between worlds here. Energy of being awake inside the matrix, not allowing the fear to overcome you, not allowing this reality to overcome you. See, the three-dimensional density is the material world. It's the devil's world. It's the root chakra. The root chakra is very far away from the crown chakra. It is what it is. We can't change that. But if you understand that we are constantly in a spiritual battle to remain balanced and connected with source, with spirit, then you should be able to walk through this world an untouchable, Taurus. What do we have at the solar plexus? Two of Wands, Aries energy at the solar plexus. Now, the imagery on this card is really speaking about what I'm saying here, because here you are. It's like you're looking at the globe, right? Looking at the world from a different vantage point, a higher perspective. And see how there's that trickster back there? And it's as if he's sitting there, you know, disappointed that he can no longer fool you, right? This is an energy here that I'm looking at on this table of overcoming, awakening, remembering where you are and how you're to navigate this density. If they ask you to choose, refuse. You know that outside this density, we are all one. There's an umbrella of division that has been cast over this reality. You know, quite often I'll come across people that say duality doesn't exist. Well, I disagree and I agree. See, I disagree that it doesn't exist in this reality because it very much does. See that all around us, you'd have to be a complete fool not to see that. However, outside of this reality, it is all one. Okay, so a lot of people who say this, they don't want to come to terms with the reality that we're living in. It's basically saying that they would rather live in the fantasy that what is right in front of our face doesn't exist. And look, I get it, okay? We create our own reality with our mind. But that's complicated because in this density we live in, we are a collective. So we have to submit to the collective consciousness. We have to flow with the waves of our reality. Now, what does this mean? Well, what it means, Taurus, is that we need to be very honest with ourselves about what we're dealing with as a means to change it, okay? Now, you are here because you're meant to create a kind of explosion inside this reality that we live in as a means to help influence the shift, okay? So to say that our reality isn't a duality is to say that you do not accept your mission here, is that you are not fully aware of the reality of your situation and the situation of all of us. It takes all of us to create the shift here. That's what the three-dimensional density is. We are a collective. Sure, you can refuse that, but it just basically means that you are relinquishing your purpose in this particular life cycle. Nobody said that this life was easy. It's not. It just seems to get harder and harder the more we start to understand the reality of our situation here. It's an all-out war. It's an all-out battle spiritually. And obviously, in many parts of the world, it's literal. Okay? But the sooner you accept things for how they are, the more content your existence in this density will become. We cannot fight against the reality of our situation, but what we can do is work to step into our own individual power and help create the collective shift globally. That's what we're looking at here. And that's the truth that we need to start accepting. Change starts within each one of us. What do we have at the heart, please? Chariot. Wow. Cancer energy at the heart. Taurus, we're only on the fourth card in this reading, and I'm already starting to feel a shift in your energy. Something has awakened. It's like you're starting to see now what has been in front of you this whole time. You're starting to realize now that your prayer was answered. And I got to tell you, I'm feeling a huge sense of relief because of the energy that I've been picking up on leading up to this reading. The chariot is showing us here that there's an individual, Archangel Michael, stepping into the chariot, understanding what we're saying here. It's an energy of taking this power position, asserting yourself, focusing, right? Focus. That's what this is all about. Now is the time to sacrifice. Now is the time to challenge yourself. Now is a time to fight back against any sort of systems of control that may be trying to get you to relinquish your power in your own individual reality. This goes right back to what I said at the beginning of the reading about this dip, right? The fall before the rise. This is you understanding everything I'm saying here, Taurus. So to strip all this back into a very basic set of tools that can help you push through this energy right now, Taurus. Again, it would be to rid yourself, eradicate your energy of anything, anyone that may be causing any sort of resistance, pain, or strife, any of these toxic behavioral patterns that fall under one of these 7 deadly sins, right? This is what we're all being called to work on right now. And we all struggle with one of these 7 deadly sins at all times, whether it's big or small. We can always do better. But right now is a time to really be on top of your game, Taurus, because this is going to allow you to answer your own prayer, right? See, what I have found is that when I pray for something, when there's something that I would like to happen or unfold in my life to improve the quality of my life, well, it usually comes in the form of a download, an idea. Sometimes it can take a little while to see these downloads and to really sift through all the distraction and realize, oh, there's my answer. It's been sitting here the entire time. But it's as if these ideas, these downloads come from this far-off place, not even in this reality. We ask and then it shows up as a download, instructions, a blueprint, how to turn around our circumstances, which is really us answering our own prayer by way of the blueprint that is transmitted to us by the universe. So you are the savior in your own reality, Taurus. You know, we've been led to believe that there's these otherworldly, godly forces that are hanging over us or underneath us at all times. But at the end of the day, you are the greatest creation in your own reality, Taurus. You are the god of your reality. I would just rather think that there's influential forces that help guide us. But as you know, we have free will, so we don't have to do anything. But it's in our benefit if we follow the path of the divine's will for our life, because that is where we are going to find ultimate enlightenment. And enlightenment is a vibration that you access inside this density by accepting, by understanding, and by stepping into your own individual power. What do we have at the throat, please? Three of Wands, Aries energy at the throat. This is telling a story. Two of Wands, right? Here you are, thinking about everything we're discussing here, everything I'm channeling through for all of you. You accept the mission. You step into your chariot. You transform into the eagle, right? And you take flight like an eagle rising out of your own ashes. The ashes of restriction. You go from essentially having no foresight to having all the foresight. See, the sacrifice, the eradicating of those energies, again, whatever they are for you, it's going to be different for everybody, leads to you being able to rise. The fall before the rise. It's like this individual here is you on a lower vibrational timeline. You're saying goodbye to an older version of yourself. That version that didn't have the strength to step into their power. You know, what's interesting here is Three of Wands is the visionary, the entrepreneur. It's a leader. It's an energy of expansion. So we have an understanding of what this is here. There's this energy of you reflecting on this, meditating on this, taking action and taking off. This Three of Wands is also giving me the energy of timeline jumping. Now, timeline jumping is when your conscious awareness shifts into a higher vibrational version of yourself, and the reality around you shifts. Yes, you're still living in the same world, but the way you perceive that world around you is different because you're perceiving it through the eyes of a more empowered version of yourself. So things that you once feared or areas where you may have been met with self-doubt no longer exist. That's what timeline jumping is. You turn around your own set of circumstances from a mental level. You make the decision from within to no longer allow the restrictions of your past to hold you back moving forward. And this is an agreement you're making with yourself right there at the throat chakra. See, at the end of the day, all of this comes down to the relationship you keep with yourself. What do we have at the third eye, please? Unbelievable. The Tower. Mars, Aries, Scorpio energy at the third eye. I don't know if there's a better card that we could have gotten to come out of that third eye position than the Tower right after that Three of Wands. There's a lot of Aries energy on this table as well. Two of Wands, Three of Wands, Tower. See, the Tower is just reiterating everything that we've been speaking about because it represents a destruction. You breaking out of the shackles of these false securities on this previous timeline. This is the wake-up call, right? See, that prayer that you sent up, for a lot of you, it's come in the form of a wake-up call, a download that triggers an awakening. You're being called to do something, to go somewhere, to implement something, to shed something, to sacrifice something, whatever it is. And the Tower at the third eye, in my readings, that is the energy of timeline jumping because the third eye is all related to how you perceive the world around you. It's all connected to your vision. With the Tower there, We're seeing that there's a destruction on the way you perceive the world around you. Now we are seeing that the way you perceive your own reality can help create the shift. Goes back to what I said about people not wanting to accept the mission for what it is, relinquishing their power and saying, nope, I refuse to accept it. That does nothing. Accepting it is actually what creates the shift. See, there's many different kinds of spirituality and awakening that people try to sell these days. But there's one in particular that is completely useless, and that surrounds a kind of spirituality that is all about non-action, just do nothing. Now, the kind of spirituality that I find to be most effective, because it's the kind of spirituality that I implement in my own life and have seen tremendous change and growth, is the kind of spirituality where you accept the reality of your situation as a means to be able to overcome it, not pretending like it's not there. You must face the demon in front of you, however that shows up for you, to be able to defeat it. Otherwise, it will never go away. You must address all which ails you. Otherwise, it will never go away. This other kind of spirituality wants you to just sweep it all up under a rug. What do we have at the crown, please? Wow. The moon. Pisces energy again, now at the crown. Two different decks, obviously. This moon and this moon are different. See, this really puts some weight behind what I said here about people trying to sell you an alternate kind of spirituality or awakening. As you can see here, it's almost like one is the upside down, right? These moons are facing different directions, right? Here we have a woman in a red cloak, and then here we have a soldier, right? There's differences here. This is more dark. This is more, well, it looks more mixed, light and dark, right? So it's like, this is accepting the reality of our situation as a means to overcome it. This is just trying to pretend like it's not there, which is exactly what they want you to do. Not fight. And I said when this card came out that it gave me the energy of being between worlds, right? So in saying all that, we have just seen a complete stripping back of the veil here. And this is coming out at the crown. Unbelievable, because your crown, when it's balanced, is an energy of complete understanding of the reality of our situation. But this is a more overactive kind of crown. It's very ungrounded. It's very dogmatic. And that goes back to what I said surrounding people that don't want to admit that we live inside a duality, right? It's like you're the soldier relinquishing your power in this reality. But in this reality, you're aware. You're not scared either. See, the more we try to escape the reality of our situation and don't want to come to terms with it, the more fear that creeps in. That is an energy of fear. That's why it's very important to accept what it is we have to face and overcome. And this goes back to what I mentioned about what we're seeing taking place all around the world, especially on the world stage, publicly, politically, just the overwhelming gaslighting and lies. It's just gotten to the point where it feels like, again, we're living in some sort of bizarro reality. What do we have at the foundation, please? King of Wands, Asmodeus at the foundation. Unbelievable, Taurus. Asmodeus, the king of demons, and one of the 7 high princes of hell. And the embodiment of lust, coming out right at the foundation of the reading, at the root chakra. It's right underneath that strength in reverse, right? That strength in reverse was representing that energy of self-doubt, that energy of weakness. It's like you're suppressing the urge to fight for a better life, to fight for what it is you're trying to go towards. The answer's right in front of your face, right? But you just can't seem to see it because this energy is trying to consume you. It's trying to consume us. I mean, this really does represent the world around us. Lust, right? Everybody just be quiet. Just have a little bit of this lust. I mean, there's 1,000,001 ways that this shows up in our reality. I don't think there's a single person listening to this that would disagree with that. And these days, it's shoved in our face without warning. You know, I mean, a lot of this has to do with social media. You know, whatever comes onto your timeline or you see when you're just perusing through the different social media platforms, you don't really have control over. Just kind of pops up when it wants to. There's an agenda at hand here, okay? And when you think about everything I've said here in relation to your own path, what you came here to do, right? You know, individually, it's going to be different. But at the end of the day, it essentially leads back to the same space, right? You know, the path that I'm talking about for all of the Tauruses here, it generally feels the same. Each one of you are just going to access that a little differently. But when you think about all that, and you think about what that would actually do if each and every one of you actually implemented that into your own life, then this energy right here is in danger. And although it feels like we're living in this crazy world right now where we're being force-fed so many lies and just this gaslighting everywhere, and it's almost as if they can't even hide it anymore. This is an indicator that there's a global awakening going on because it suggests that they're becoming very desperate, right? And Taurus, I just want to repeat here again, because I mentioned this earlier on in the reading. I want you to remember that you're the savior in your own reality, in your own world. That savior is not outside of you, okay? The sooner you start to realize this, and the sooner you take control over your own life and you remove the power from other people's hands to make decisions in your life, the happier you'll begin to become. Yes, we still have to navigate this reality, just like I said, being very aware of our situation, but there is a way to do it to where you don't have to relinquish your power, purpose, and happiness. What do we have? The sacral, please? Unbelievable. Just followed what I said. 9 of Cups, Pisces energy at the sacral. So, as you can see, we have this individual, right? Muscle man, right? Strong man. I think it's what they called them when these sort of illustrations came about. He's lifting this weight over his head. It's almost as if he's saying, no, Taurus, I'll do the heavy lifting in your life. Don't you worry about a thing. I'll take care of everything. And it says right there, can make one invisible, right? See, that's exactly how they want us to be. They want us to be invisible, ceasing to exist inside our purpose, ceasing to fulfill what the divine willed for our life in this life cycle. There are principalities at play here, Taurus. There's a spiritual war, and the way you lose this war is by not accepting what it is you're being faced with in your own current reality and set of circumstances. You must push through any fear, and you must lift the heavy weight in your own life. Don't leave it up to anybody else to do it for you. What do we have? The solar plexus, please. Ace of Pentacles, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn energy, Lucifuge, Raphael. And going back to this 9 of Cups at the sacral, this is a very entitled, greedy kind of energy. It's also an energy that's too indulgent, right? I mean, that just speaks about a lot of the people that aren't awake. Greedy, indulging in the 7 deadly sins, self-entitled, thinking that everything should be handed to them on a silver platter. The literal opposite of what the divine has willed for your life. The opposite of your highest potential. So see how they come after you with your shadow, right? And then it's being further emphasized with this Ace of Pentacles. This is also an energy of greed, energy that's lacking in foresight. So this is being further emphasized now. See, it says right there, gives all worldly power and treasures, makes one rich quickly. I mean, it sounds like selling your soul, and that's very much what this energy is here. Just stay there, Taurus. You don't need to do anything. We'll take care of everything for you, right? Just make sure you pick this and make sure you pick that. And everything will be A-okay. It's an energy that wants you to be completely docile. Now, this is a very strong energy I'm feeling here. So there's a lot of you out there that are facing some serious decisions in your life right now. Some serious restriction, okay? When I told you, I've been feeling this energy leading up to this reading. You know, Taurus, I want to tell you about something that I went through yesterday, because I feel that it speaks about timeline jumping and understanding a kind of roadmap that's laid out before us. Yesterday, I was going to the grocery store. It was about 115 degrees where I live, and I was walking in. I saw a man in a wheelchair. He looked like an elder vet, and he had a dog with him. The dog was asleep. He had his head on these bags of ice, trying to stay cool. And they were both sitting underneath the shade. But my first thought was, okay, I'm going to pull out some cash, and when I come out, I'll give him some cash. So as I was walking out of the store, I was planning on going over to him and giving him the money. But then as I looked at him, I was questioning if he was homeless, or I couldn't quite put my finger on what his circumstances might be. So I thought, oh, well, I don't want him to be insulted if I go up to him and give him some money, assuming that he's homeless. So I decided not to go up to him. And he also kind of looked like he might have been quick to anger. Let's just say that. So I left. And the whole time I was driving home, I really regretted it. I wish I just would have gone up and given him the money, despite what I may have been thinking. Later on that day, which was yesterday, last night, I encountered a little, let's just say, problem in my own life. Nothing that I wasn't able to overcome. It's not really that big of a deal. But it was significant enough to where I started to think back on the situation at the grocery store and started to realize that had I have gone up to him and given him that money and maybe had a bit of a conversation with him, that what happened to me yesterday evening probably wouldn't have happened. And what happened to me, without going into any detail, did have to do with some money. Let's just say I was moving some money around and I lost a significant amount of money. And I immediately thought back to the situation at the grocery store, and I thought to myself, wow, had I done that, I probably wouldn't have gone through what I just went through. And these things happen to me all the time. And the reason why is because that's a part of my life path. It's all a part of lessons that I need to learn immediately so I can implement them into what I do here. So the reason why I'm telling you all this, Taurus, is because I want you to understand that there's a kind of roadmap that you need to pay attention to right now. Every decision we make in every waking moment aligns us with different outcomes and possibilities, right? Again, timeline jumping. Some of these can be big, some of them can be small. Some of them may be significant, some of them may be insignificant, okay? But when I woke up today, I was still obviously thinking about what had happened. And I've been doing this long enough now that I was trying to extract the lesson from all that. Like, okay, why did that happen? Is there some karma attached to that? How could I have better navigated that situation? Why was I guided to do that? And then I realized that all of that happened because I needed to deliver this message to you. Okay? Now, it could be quite literal. You could see a homeless person and question whether you want to go up to them or not. And I'm telling you right now, Taurus, go up to them, okay? Always go up to them and give them whatever you can. And this Ace of Pentacles here speaks about missing some sort of opportunity. It's like, how do you overcome the problems in your life? How do you break out of certain conditions, certain patterning, right? Let's say the 7 deadly sins. Well, you do the opposite. It's really that simple, you know? Somebody told me when I was really young, I think a teenager, that if you're ever short on money or if you're ever broke, go give somebody who is in more need than you what you have left. I've always carried that with me. My stepmother actually told me that. Very wise individual. And I've always lived my life that way. And sure enough, it always works. It never fails. But it's beyond the money as well. There's so much more to it, because every time I've connected with somebody that's less fortunate than I am in that capacity, you know, a homeless person or somebody who's on the street, I mean, these are some of the wisest people that I have ever encountered. I take a lot from conversations that I have with some of these individuals because of how much they've seen. So just some things to think about there, Taurus, okay? What do we have at the heart, please? Four of Swords, Simius, Libra energy at the heart. Now, what we're starting to see, Taurus, is some clarity surrounding this restriction that you've been feeling. I feel that this reading, along with some other messages you may be receiving around this time, downloads, ideas, maybe other tarot readings or just things that are coming across your path, are all going to work in conjunction to help you break out of this energy. Okay, there's an energy here that doesn't want you to take action. There's an energy here that wants you to feel burned out, right? And succumb to that. There's an energy here that wants you to be scared, to push forward. And there's an energy here that doesn't want you to progress on your path and align with this mission that we're very clearly seeing on this table. Taurus, I very much feel like you've been engaged in battle spiritually, and I've called upon all of you, and we're all sitting down and we're having a meeting. We're discussing this, right? Discussing the battle that we're all engaging in, and it's getting heavy. And the battle, it's waging on. It's heavy. It's getting the best of some of us right now. But after this conversation, we're going to go back out there into the field of our own lives and reality, and we're going to fight, and we're going to push back against whatever this resistance is. And then the next time we meet, it's going to be on this new timeline. And then we have the Seven of Swords, Manakel, knowledge of good and evil. So Aquarius energy here. This is speaking about this understanding that we're all beginning to have now. Everything I've been talking about in this reading is starting to crystallize here. Seven of Swords is an energy of breaking free. It's also an energy of you starting to see the reality of not just your situation, Taurus, but all of our situation, right? Collectively speaking. This is the great reveal, and it's right underneath that chariot. You understand the mission at hand, and you're ready to take action. You're stepping into your chariot, preparing to take flight, bringing down the tower, right? Bringing this destruction to this false sense of reality, this false sense of security, ripping back the veil and seeing things the way they actually are. Moon at the crown. What do we have at the throat, please? Unbelievable. The Fool at the throat. The exalting God, will and new beginnings, assist with difficult and great undertakings. Perfect card to have follow everything that we've just said here. And Taurus, I gotta say, I'm feeling a huge sense of relief because now we are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're getting indication here of this new beginning that you're preparing to step into. This represents the rise, represents change. It's like you go from one day to the next. You just shift out of this energy very quickly. And I feel for a lot of you, I'm hearing that you sacrifice something that gives you like a new lease on life. Again, it's going to be different for all of you. But if you're looking for that burst of energy, if you're looking for that push, Taurus, the easiest and quickest way to do this is to, again, eradicate something from your life. Put your foot down, say no more, and then start to pay attention to how you feel, how the world around you starts to shift, right? Your reality, it's like you're engaging with it differently than you were prior to releasing whatever this is. Hold on to that. Don't forget that. If you can do this, then it's going to allow you to push through. What do we have at the third eye? Wow, Seven of Wands. Leo energy at the third eye. Now, this is interesting because this is Seven of Swords. But for a moment, I thought Seven of Wands. Then I said, no, that's Seven of Swords. And it actually doesn't say on there Seven of Swords, Seven of Wands. I just know them by memory, right? On this deck, it doesn't say. On this deck, it does, right? So I was feeling that Seven of Wands, and then sure enough, it comes out here. Now, the Seven of Wands, this is an energy of you taking a stand, pushing back against the system of control in your own reality. The expected God, liberation, deliverance from enemies, both visible and invisible, right? So that speaks about what you're dealing with in your waking life. And it also speaks about the principalities that you're dealing with on the spiritual plane. So there's a culmination here. It's all coming together. And again, right underneath this tower, right? This is a very, very powerful reading I'm doing here for you, Taurus. I feel that this is going to help a lot of you to implement some sort of change. You know, and that's why I feel that these readings are so important. It's far beyond me. I'm just delivering the message to all of you and explaining to you all some of my experiences surrounding the events leading up to these readings. But at the end of the day, I'm just a vessel here. But I do feel that this reading here holds a significance to it. What do we have at the crown, please? Oh, Taurus. The chariot again. Michael, who is like God, perseverance, success in conflict, overcoming adversity, right? So, as we can see here, you're getting in the chariot, right? You've made the decision. Okay, I'm gonna do it. And now here, you're trampling over those beasts, that resistance, the principalities, whatever it is. Who is like God, right? You are your own savior. So, to help clear up any fear or hesitation, Taurus, we see right here, success in conflict. You overcome the adversity. It says it right there. Both of these cards represent perseverance. Seven of Wands, back to back with the chariot. This energy right here is all about awakening, ascension, destruction, ripping back the veil. Three of Wands, tower, moon, fool, Seven of Wands, chariot. Very, very powerful, Taurus. And I don't think that there's anything more I can add. I think that the message has been delivered, and I feel it's been received. Taurus, this is the message I have available to you, depending on where you are on this timeline, should you choose to accept. I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you would like a personal reading, you can find all of my contact details in the description below this video, and thank you for your donations, Taurus. Take care.